Hi, welcome to Myers ASMR. Ask, align, allow, and receive. I was thinking about you, and now you're here, and I'm so happy. So I'm going to pick up with The Art of Being and Becoming. You know, this book really helped to shape me when I was a freshman in college and I first discovered Hazrat Inayat Khan. I mean, I was just blown away. You know, most of us, I'm not going to say this book is like the standard because that just sounds like a bit too egotistical, but I think we come here in this world and we're wondering what the rules are and how come nobody's like teaching us, showing us. Well, for me, this book was a very, very good moral guide. And I was so grateful that I came across it because it answered a lot of questions for me as far as right behavior and right thinking, especially when you see so much behavior out in the world and it looks like people are getting away with wickedness. And then, you know, the more you live, the more you get to witness consequences in many people's lives. And, you know, it just makes you so glad that you do stumble across things like this. You know, a lot of pitfalls can be avoided by just being observant, wise, and getting proper guidance. And for me, this book was one such thing. Now, everything you have to use your critical thinking for. You know, you always have to sift and decide for yourself. And remember, in life, you have to be selfish enough to do what is best for you. So with that, let me taste one of my chocolate-covered cashews. I'm almost finished with the bag. You know, I love the gourmet snacks that Marshall's has because you can get them at a discounted price. Did you notice the typo on the bag? That's probably how they wound up at Marshall's. It's alright by me, whatever they are. Kind of washing my teeth. All that gets stuck in the teeth, so. Alright. So, we're on the chapter called The Heart. Imagine how wonderful and at the same time, how obscure. If we call the heart the spark of fire, then we can see its different aspects as sympathy in the form of heat, as longing in the form of fire, as affection in the form of glowing as devotion, in the form of flame, as passion in the form of smoke that blinds one's eyes, that which gives one courage to stand firm in the battlefield, to struggle through life, to endure all that comes, that which strengthens one to have patience. What is it? It is the heart. If the heart fails, one falls. If the heart rises, one rises. When the heart is directed towards one ideal, one object, one point, it develops. When the heart is going from one point to another, it is weakened. For then the fire element of the heart dies. The little spark is brought to a blaze when one blows upon it, and yet the fire is put out by blowing. Why? Because man's blowing is directing the air to one single spot. But the wind blowing all around extinguishes the fire. When a person says, I love everybody, one can be sure he loves nobody. But when he says, I love my mother, my father, my son, my daughter, my friend, or my beloved, then he has taken the first step on the path of love. But no one in the world can claim to love and at the same time know love. The moment one knows what love is, one loses the claim. Before one can say, I love, one must be able to show it by jumping into the fire and losing oneself in it. A Hindu poet says, the first initiation in the order of lovers is to become nothing. Another poet says, O love, you have taught me first the lesson, which many learn at the end. When someone says, if you will be good to me, I will be kind to you, I will respect you, it is a business proposition. And when a person says, I wish someone loved me, he is very mistaken, for he will never be loved. He may wait for eternity. Love never asks to be loved. Love is more independent than anything, and it is love that makes one independent. There's a love that is like an infant. It must be taken in one's arms. It cannot stand. If it is not taken up, it cries. It is not mature. It is not developed. It is not yet love. Then there is love that is like a child that has not yet learned to walk. It has to hold on to a table or chair to steady itself. That love too is undeveloped. But there is love that stands on its own feet and walks alone. That is independent love, and one can depend upon it. Love shows its quality by constancy. Where there is no constancy, there is no love. People have wrongly understood the meaning of love. The real meaning is life itself. The feeling that one is alive. That feeling itself is love. Then what is love? Love is God, and God is love. As long as one is involved in selfish thoughts and actions, one does not understand love. Love is sacrifice. Love is service. Love shows itself in regard for the pleasure and displeasure of the beloved. That love can be seen in all aspects of life once it is understood. Love for those who depend upon one, for those with whom one comes in contact in every aspect of life. Love for one's country, for one's race, for humanity. It can extend even to love for every little creature, for the smallest insect that lives. Thus, the drop of water becomes the ocean. Thus can limited man expand through love. The more sympathy expands, the further it reaches heavenward, until man becomes as great as the Absolute. Instead of teaching the lesson of indifference, Sufis have taught the lesson of love and sympathy and have called it the cultivation of the heart. In Sufi terminology, this is called suluk, which means the divine manner, the loving manner. When a refined manner is directed by the heart quality, it becomes a loving manner, the manner of God. And all such attributes as gentleness, tolerance, kindness, forgiveness, mercy, and compassion spring upon it. The great teachers and prophets did not become what they were by their miracles, their wonder working. What was most apparent in them was the loving manner. Read the lives of the prophets. Look at the way Jesus Christ had with all those who came to him. When the sinners who were condemned and expelled from society were brought to the Master, he raised them up with his compassion. He was on the side of the accused ones. The fishermen who were with the Master never understood him, and even the most educated could not. Yet the Master lived with them and won their hearts in the end by his loving manner. Think of the Prophet Muhammad, whose most beloved daughter was killed by an Arab before his eyes. When the Arab said, "I did not do it on purpose, will you forgive me?" the Prophet forgave him instantly. When he became a conqueror and judge, his enemies who had ill-treated him and turned him out of the country were brought before him and rose and asked him, "What will you do to us?" The Prophet says, "You are my brothers. God will forgive you." Think also of the compassion of Buddha towards even the smallest insect. For attainment on the spiritual path, study is secondary and magical powers are unimportant. The first and most important principle is the cultivation of the heart quality. And there is only one way to cultivate this quality: to become more and more selfless at each step that we take. For what prevents the loving manner is the thought of self. The more we think of oneself, ourself, the less we think of others. Until at the end of the journey, our self meets us like a giant who will prove to be the stronger. But if with the first step we take on the spiritual path, we struggle with this giant, we can only conquer him by the power of love. Love is the stream which, when it has risen up, falls again like a fountain, each drop forming a virtue. Virtues taught in books have not the same power, but virtues springing naturally from the spring of love in the depth of the heart are love itself. There is a Hindu saying, no matter how much wealth you have, if you do not have the treasure of virtue, it is of no use. True riches are the ever-increasing fountain of love, from which all virtue comes. Well, thanks for listening and watching. Like and subscribe, donate to my Cash App. Catch me in the next video, and may you find lasting happiness. Bye.